sure it worked. So, oh no, Joseph, you watched it too?
Yeah, I'll watch all of them.
You watch all of them? All right. Well, thank you. That's very cool. I'm glad that you do that. Uh, so now that we're recording, let me start back over. So here we are today in terms of making sure that we have the financial piece under control. Then on Monday, we want to spend time optionally. If you don't feel like you need that assistance, then I don't mind. But what I'll do is show you some key elements of a quality pitch, including the visual design, so that you can take the research that you've conducted, plus the financials that you've conducted, and then put them together in a visual design that will optimize the pitch. These 2 days, then, I have for you set up as completely work on your own time. But I think it was Thusa's groups and I met yesterday. I believe Joseph's group has sent a meeting for me on Tuesday, maybe, of next week. But this is where you could meet with me either A, as the potential investor and talk to me about what my interests are in investing and what some of my hot buttons are. Or if you want, you can just set a meeting with me as the professor and say, hey, professor, we don't understand what we're doing here at all. Can you help us? Or if you'd like, I have no problem if on Tuesday or Wednesday you have a sample PowerPoint presentation or Prezi or whatever you want to do, and you want me to review it with you and say, hey, Willem, that slide looks like crap, man. I don't understand that thing at all. Then I can give you that individualized feedback if you guys would like it. But that's entirely up to you. You don't have to. I'm offering myself up as a resource for all of you. So that's what we've got pending next. So let's have a conversation. And let's see. I'll start here because her head is almost underneath here. So what were some of the highlights for you from the presentation in the tour on Wednesday of this week? What's one thing that you particularly found interesting?
Hello. I really liked the tour in general. It was good to talk to, or that you talked to someone. So it was very informational, and it's gave me a feeling for the property also from the outside, and it gave me personally a connection to the property and also to investment in Chicago, and also to hear it from that guy. So I think the general feeling that the tour gave me was really good.
Okay. So next to you then, who in the world was that guy, and what does he represent as a character to us? Who was that guy?
I'm a girl.
What character was he playing in this whole course for us, though? Who was he pretending? Who was he to teach you? What was his job?
I think I don't really understand your question.
Okay, we'll go over to the next person in line then, Mr. Matt Baumen. What does Mr. Matt Baumen actually do in the world?
For what I understand from it, he just managed the place and the people who work there, like he helps them, and he says what needs to be done in the building.
Okay, so one of his functions is as operations manager of an owned property. Very good. That's one of his functions. So that if, for example, one of the tenants has a ceiling tile fall in, they would call into what's called crosstown real estate advisors. That's the name of Matt's firm. And they would do on-the-ground building management. That's one of the things he does. All right. Here we go. What's another thing that he does?
He's also a realtor, right?
Excellent. So he plays a dual role as a broker realtor. So I actually just traded messages with him this morning. They are thinking about buying a 300,000 square foot building in Woodridge, Illinois, for which he's bidding something like $25 million on it. And so as a realtor of sorts, he is actually, as a broker, dealing with the property broker in the negotiations for the acquisition of that property. Excellent. What else is he responsible for?
I believe he also is responsible for advising these buildings to potential investors. So, for example, I remember he talked about his portfolio and how much he charges. So I believe that falls under his responsibility as well.
Excellent. So if you think about the life cycle of property investment, step one, as a realtor, he has to go out and identify potential opportunities for acquisition. Step two, he has to do analysis of the property to see whether or not it's the type of thing that people would find attractive. Step three, as a broker, then he's involved with the negotiations. Step four, he's also involved then in fundraising. And that fundraising then consists of what two different pieces? Who does he deal with to raise funds?
Yeah, what I remember is that he was also responsible for maintaining all the relationships.
Excellent.
So yeah, that means maintaining relationships with all his tenants, because there are a lot. I remember he had like 152 or 150. And maybe he does it in the same way like Tim Rose does it, like keep notes of his tenants, who is who, the characteristics, etc. I can imagine that it's quite a busy job to keep track of all these characteristics, but yeah, he somehow manages to do it.
So he manages tenants that are currently there, but in terms of the fundraising piece then, who are the other big relationships that he maintains that he mentioned?
I think he gathers investors.
Excellent. And then, in addition to the investors, who's his other major funding source that he has to deal with?
I think he mentioned that he also worked with the banks, especially during this period of COVID. I can't remember exactly what they did to help them out, but I think they pushed back the rent for like 2 months or something, and the banks helped them with that.
Excellent. So, again, in that property management life cycle, you're identifying a property, you're doing due diligence on the property, you're negotiating over the acquisition of the property, you're dealing with the funders of the property, being both investors as well as banks, and then you're dealing with the post-acquisition maintenance of the property, both in terms of tenant relationships as well as bank relationships ongoing and investor relationships ongoing. Because one of the things that he mentioned was the PPP. Did anybody hear him say PPP? He said it really briefly when we were in the vestibule, I think, together. The PPP, it was called the Payroll Protection Program. That was the source of government subsidized funding that the United States federal government put in response to the pandemic, so that if someone like Matt, who has multiple employees, is struggling for cash flows, they gave them a forgivable loan. So it was a loan that had certain criteria that you didn't have to pay back so long as you adhered to criteria. And the basic criteria was don't fire your employees. So if in that dentist's office during April of last year, when no one was allowed to go to the dentist very well may have had to fire employees. The PPP gave them the funding so that they didn't have to, so that now, as you saw this year, the dentist's office is still open with that really cool aquarium, and you can go ahead and get your teeth fixed. All right. Anything else that we missed that we should talk about in terms of the property tour that you found interesting?
Not really. But what I thought was surprising is that he was really casual, in casual clothing.
Yeah, you know.
I don't know if that's super American of, I don't know. But that's, yeah.
I would say, yeah. I mean, commercial real estate, as you saw, is both tenant-facing, investor-facing, but it's also dirty at times. I mean, I was walking around, right, and I was wondering if I had the right shoes on because I was walking through a construction zone at periods. So yeah, it's not a formal type endeavor, which I think is good to note because you all are going to play the role of Matt. And if you all show up wearing suits and ties on your team's call, I'm going to be like, what's wrong with all these people? How come they look like they're going to a funeral? All right, good. Caetano, question or comment?
I just found it very, very fascinating how diverse his tenants were in terms of the industry they play in. So we basically had everything. He said maybe something about cancer research lab, all the way over to dentists, offices, and all sort of that. And I think that this also dramatically decreases the risk of, for example, when having like the COVID situation right now, when you consider that employees may prefer working from home, but then again, you know, a dentist will always need an office, and it'll be hard for you to, you know, establish a cancer lab within your own four walls. I just found that very interesting.
And I know you had told me the other day you had to work, but did you get a chance to watch the tour yet?
I actually didn't. I had planned to watch this on Monday.
No problem. We'll move on to the next. Other thing, were you surprised by the amount of construction that was going on?
I wasn't there either.
Okay.
I was working, but I tried to watch the video afterwards. But as soon as I open it, it says no, like I can't open that. There's no connection.
Oh, well, let me double check. Maybe
I tried it 2 different times, like an hour later, 2 hours later, and then I think at 9 p.m. as well. But
the link that you are using now works, but the initial link that Teams itself makes didn't work.
Yeah. I didn't saw this one, but I just I had a look at the recording, and yeah, I wasn't able to open.
No problem. No problem. I think everything is working now.
Then I watch it.
Okay. All right. How about you then? Were you surprised by the amount of construction that was going on?
Yeah, I didn't know it still needed construction. I didn't know whether it was a finished building or not, but I do know from watching like your typical real estate programs, at least that have in the Netherlands, like LA Real Estate Agents or something like that. They usually have to reconstruct a lot of things as well. So, on one hand, yes, on the other hand, no. So
when last time I was in the Netherlands, I stayed with some friends in Utrecht, and while I was there, they had on the 3rd floor of their townhouse, they were redoing their bathroom. And what she told me is that the Dutch love to do home improvements because your homes are generally older than ours are, and there's always something that could use some degree of improvement. So what I was trying to show you guys yesterday too is, although American buildings are much newer, the building we were in the other day was built, I think, 1992 or something like that, that it's not necessarily a need for repair as much as it is conversion of a space to meet the needs of a potential tenant. Good. Thusa, you have your hand up.
Yeah, so I think it's logical what he's doing, like renovating at the moment, because there's not a lot of people in there. So they have the time and the space, and they don't bother a lot of people. So to do this, and maybe after the pandemic is gone, they can improve or increase their prices as well.
And then general question to the crowd. A couple of numbers that I found very fascinating that he shared with us, which is what was occupancy when they reviewed the building, and then when they went and did their valuation, what was his occupancy, and how is that compared to his actual occupancy? Does anybody remember those numbers? Yeah, you're shaking your head again. Go ahead. What were they?
I think he wants to buy or property that has or will have 92%, but he has 100% every single time, or so almost 100%. So it's more than he expected.
And then, do you recall at all what he said about whether or not 100% is an occupancy that you can share with the bank? Right here.
Very well.
When you're building a projected financials, will you ever show the bank a 100% occupancy rate?
No, they will laugh you away.
They will laugh in your face and go, there is no possible way.
Possible way. There's going to be turnover in occupants. You need to make adjustments for it.
Excellent. The message I just got from him actually said in his negotiation, the building that they are looking at, 34% of their leases come due in 2023. And so he's right now trying to ask me what occupancy rate should I predict, because what did he say was the magic number? What percent of your tenants tend to stay?
Was it 75?
Very good.
That's a rule of thumb.
That's the very good rule of thumb. Good.
Is it per year? 75% per year?
No, 75% upon your initial acquisition. So imagine you have a place with 100 units and you buy it, 25% of the people will leave because they just don't want to deal with new ownership, or there's just natural attrition of turnover. So that, yeah. Go ahead. Did you have something else? No? All right. Anybody else? I didn't get to the front row yet. I got to these two in the front row. So any other things that struck you as interesting or key takeaways?
No, not really.
Not really? All right, last two for the good of the order. Anything that I can make sure that you get the opportunity to share that you found?
Not really. I think everything has been said. So.
Everything in the history of the world has ever been said. You are correct. All right, Hassan has his hand up. Then Hassan.
I was just surprised about how much renovation they do. Like he mentioned about a kitchen where they had to move the plumbing to the other area. A lot of construction. Like, doesn't it affect the people that are staying throughout the building, for instance, and also the cost ones? Like,
yeah.
What
That surprised me a little bit too. And you heard me tell a story about relationships at the end where, as we were walking down the hall, we saw someone come running out of their unit and was on the phone very frantically. And Matt wanted to know what was wrong. And what he was afraid of was just what you said. That plumbing wall that you were talking about, that's what they were about to do right next to her tenancy. It was their first week back in, and they were making all this racket, and it smelled bad, and there was all this traffic. And Matt was like, I thought she was mad. I thought she was mad that we were interrupting their business. Yeah, very good. Excellent. That was Hassan. Kun, something else?
There's actually something else about extra income on places. For instance, in 166, there's a cell tower.
Yeah.
It's for income, but there isn't actually a fixed price. Should you just take the median price of the price range of cell tower income for this stuff?
Yeah, that makes sense. He brings up a really good point. That's something we had not discussed. What we think of as being ancillary income opportunities from a property. For example, especially in the city of Chicago, because we have so many tall buildings, they are natural placements for things like cell phone towers. And so as a building occupant, an owner, you will oftentimes get propositioned by a cell phone company asking whether or not they can place something and generate marginal revenue for you. If you see something like that in your offering memorandum, yeah, the easiest thing to do is just take the average of what you've seen over the last couple of years.
Okay.
It's generally a small, maybe 1 or 2% of what a building's income could be, but it certainly should be accounted for. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
One other question about this: are there any tax deductibles we should be looking into?
No, not necessarily, and here's why. The way that the legal structure works, every property is set up as its own standalone legal entity. That standalone legal entity then is taxed as an institution.
Okay.
The payouts that come out of that are then paid out to the parties separately, and they maintain their own taxes as investors. So I wouldn't overly concern myself. The only one that you would worry about would be the depreciation piece, because depreciation will have a substantive impact on the entity's taxability.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good questions. Very good. Well, with that in mind, let me show you something else that I authored today. And I'm going to see if I can't make you all go over there. And then I'm going to make this one come over here so that I can get you all on the same screen at the same time. Will it let me do that? Come on, Excel. I want you on that side. Okay. Hopefully you can see us over here. And then here's my Excel over here. So several of the teams have asked me for this spreadsheet, and I'm happy to share it. Let me just remind you, though, you don't need to turn the spreadsheet in. That's not a requirement of the assignment. Rather, it is to help you answer some key questions. So the overview is intended to be able to answer some of those questions, but I went ahead and articulated them slightly differently today. So let me show you on this right-hand side. If you're concerned about your spreadsheet and what it can do, here is what I would like it to be able to answer. As you start developing your narrative, and on Monday we'll package this a little more, I would want to hear the following. We're thinking about buying a building, and the offering price that we have determined is appropriate is X. Now, some of you have found in your offering memorandums, you're not given a price. The reason being is about 50% of the cases, the seller won't mention a price. Everything is best offer. And they do that because they're trying to get multiple people to compete without a reference point. So how do you get another rule of thumb for what a price could be? The simplest way to think about it is on the lowest end that I've seen in commercial property in Chicago, $75 per square foot is on the low end of what you would pay. $125 is on the high end of what you would pay. So a normal estimate would be about $100 per square foot. So for example, the building we looked at was a 61,000 square foot building that sold for about $6 million. So I think that calculates out to like, $98 per square foot or something like that. Why is that somewhat of the range? Because we start to think about then, as Matt had suggested with one of the questions about 166 West Washington and whether or not you would convert that into residential properties, he said at that point, I think about tearing the building down and building something new. And once we get to that, most people believe that you can build commercial office space for about $125 per square foot. So above $125, you would no longer buy anymore. You'd build, because then it can be brand new and you can build it to custom. So question number one, we're proposing to buy a building for X. Question number two you'd want to answer, when we go to buy that building, we expect to purchase that building by raising X amount in debt and then Y amount in equity from our investors. I again encourage you to think that way, and I think it was Enthusa's team. I got to have a few minutes of fun with them because they were late getting to the meeting, and so I started yelling at them, saying, "How in the F are you going to ask me for $1 million when you can't even be on time for a Teams meeting?" But the role I was trying to play was, I want you to think, just because you've heard that I have $1 million doesn't mean I'm willing to give you $1 million. I don't know who you are. I know that some of you are on camera and some of you are not. I know that some of you ask good questions and some of you don't watch the video. I don't know who you are in person, but to ask me for $1 million right out of the gates, man, oh man, you better have set the stage to build my trust. If not, maybe we go ahead and, how many of you ever seen the movie Boiler Room before? Have none of you ever seen Boiler Room? Okay. We'll take a break in a little while, and I will cue the scene of Boiler Room for you. That is, it's about equity investing, but it's stock market. It's Giovanni Ribisi and Vin Diesel and Ben Affleck in a stock market kind of movie. But there's this really funny part where he's talking about, on this first deal, let's just start small so that we get to know one another, and then we'll hit a home run and do a big deal later. So what I'm just suggesting to you now is be cautious in how much you ask us for, because if we don't have trust built, I'm going to turn to Maurice and go, there's no way I'm investing with them. I don't know about you. Then, the building currently has X rentable square feet and is at X% occupancy. We're going to want to know exactly what is the current condition of this thing. Is the building fully occupied right now in Giant, or is it completely vacant? We analyzed a deal not too long ago to buy a vacant building, and the valuation was very different because it had been sitting vacant for 3 years. How in the world do I think I'm going to suddenly lease it up to 92% within 3 months when no one's been in there for 3 years? Then, the key takeaway I think that we saw the other day is, hey, in order to get this building market ready and lease it up to our potential, we are going to need to invest at least X dollars to get it to our target occupancy percentage. Then you should be able to answer for us, once the building's leased, we think it should be able to provide at least X dollars in revenues. How are we going to get that number again? X revenues is going to be price per square foot multiplied by square footage that's occupied. In order to operate the building, we are going to have our common area maintenance, our real estate taxes, our insurance, our abatements, and any other things in there that require us to be able to keep the building operating, so that the key number that is often used, and for those of you that are nerdy, you'll see on this particular page here, right on back to the overview page, the cash return, C44 divided by C35. Look what C44 is. Let me get down myself, C44. C44 is free cash flows, which comes after, where is it here? NOI. We want to know that after you've paid everything, including the debt and the building's CapEx, what do you have left? Before I can get to that answer, you should probably tell me what my NOI looks like, because it's from NOI that in my mind, I'm going to start chunking out those two major costs. The major cost number one will be, you need to be able to say, our commitment to the bank for whatever we're borrowing, which is coming at an X% interest rate, will cost us X dollars out of our NOI. Out of that NOI, then, you, Mr. Investor Maurice, we're going to be paying you an X% preferred dividend. And with you and all your other co-investors, that means it's going to cost us X in total to pay all of the investors back. Hopefully then leaving X dollars worth of free cash flows. And those ultimate free cash flows we could use to either continue to improve the building or to return capital early, so that if I invest $1 million with you, you're paying me the 8% every year, but making those payments on a quarterly basis. And then maybe at the end of the year, you're able to give me $100,000 back of my initial capital investment, so that you've returned that capital and paid my dividend. All right, Senna is real, right?
Yes.
Did somebody let her in? I didn't press any buttons. Yeah, Senna, are you here now? Senna, did you join us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. I know we had trouble with you being allowed in the from the lobby. Great, glad to have you back.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know what we did too. Do you notice we've kept the farting guy away for a couple of days now. We're winning. Nice job, us. Okay, so go ahead and put this front and center, and maybe if you want to screenshot it or you want to go ahead and add something similar into your own spreadsheet. But this is what I tried to aggregate together for you all in terms of all of these answers are coming from within my spreadsheet. But notice I have zero interest, honestly, in knowing what your annual principal payment for your debt's going to be in year number, whatever this is, year 7 here. I don't care about that per se. What I care about is your ability to answer these 10 fundamental questions during the course of your presentation. So hopefully you all have the opportunity to do that. And so what I would like to do now is I want to test something really quickly with each of you. I would like to put us into breakout rooms so that I can give your team a place to meet, and then I want to pop in and answer any questions. I don't know how well it works because of your network versus mine. So let me just try this right now. I'm going to create one breakout room manually, and I'm going to create that room, and I'm going to assign, let's see. The room is empty, so let's open it up and see if I can go ahead and add another one. Oh, assign participants. Let's see that one. Oh, whoops. Pressed the wrong button. Let's assign participants. All right. Hilda, are you on the call still? And Neek, are you on the call still? All right, do me a favor. I'm going to assign both of you to room 1. Can you go over there now into room 1? Do you have the option?
No, the way it works is when you start the breakout rooms, they'll be sent there automatically.
They're going to be sent there automatically?
Yeah, if you start the breakout rooms.
Really? That's how Teams does it, huh? They keep changing.
Right now, if you assign everyone per room and then click on start rooms, everyone will be sent to their rooms that you've assigned them to.
All right, well, I'm going to put Willem and then I think Elena, is that right? I'm going to put you in room 2 then. And now I'm going to say, where was the start rooms button? Was right here. Damn it, I keep pressing the wrong button. Start rooms. Let's watch and see if they disappear.
It takes about 10 seconds, but goodbye, guys.
10 seconds?
Yeah, just the team servers are slow as fuck.
Wait a minute, I was like, wait, he disappeared.
He just fell.
That was really cool. It's like, all right, I'm in the breakout room now.
He got sent to the breakout.
And they're gone. Sent to the Shadow Realm.
All right, hang on. Let me see if I can go find them and then come back. All right, let me see what happens if
you open it on the left.
Yeah,
you can join room, yeah.
Join room. All right, let's see.
Goodbye. No. Gezellig, jongens.
Is het al bijna tijd voor bier?
Uiteraard.
2 uur is het vrijdag, toch?
Met dat jullie nog niet aan het bier zitten,
Er
is
zijn
gewoon
heel veel
dadig.
plekken met 2 uur. Er zijn heel veel plekken ter wereld met 2 uur, dus geen probleem.
Zijn jullie nog niet begonnen dan?
Om 2 uur begint pullenmiddag.
Pullen vullen, jong.
Ja.
Ik heb alleen Chardonnay in huis. Beetje kut.
All right, hey teams. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yes.
If you want, you can also call them back right now. So if you want them to go back, you can go back to the breakout room thing. You can call them back into the main channel.
Do you just want to be in charge of class for the rest of the day? I got no problem with that.
I'm just, it looked like you need some help there. That's why I was jumped in.
You know what? I do need help because this is different than it was the last time I used it. So, all right. So now what do? Let's do this then. Oh God, but you're all in different teams. Can I can make rooms without assigning teams and you can go with your own team, right?
can only do that in the general. So you can make another, like week 1, week 2. There's another channel you can make. Then we can create different meetings.
Got
but not
it.
inside the meeting. If you want to create
Yeah,
breakout rooms, you have to sign us to it.
I have to. Okay, got it. Then let's do this. It's 8:40 at my time. In 10 minutes, then, why don't you plan to log into the breakout room of your team that I think, as you said, I'll do it like this, right? If I come here, you want me to do this, if I'm understanding correctly. I'll come here. We'll do a brand new, add a channel. And so I can do like team 1, right?
Yeah.
And then standard privacy, automatically help provide a description. No, I don't need to. And then team 1, you can go ahead and go there. And I'll make one for each of the 6. And I'll meet each team in their individual room in about 10 minutes, okay?
Right. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks. We'll see you in a bit.
Welk team zijn we
Is hij
eigenlijk?
zelf nou weg?
Hilde, welk
3.
team? Team 3. Oké.
3. Maar hoe gaat hij ons teams geven als hij nu weg is?
Nee. Hij gaat ons niet uit de breakout rooms doen. Dat vond hij niet handig. Dus hij maakt nou teams aan de zijkant van de general channel. Dus we maken gewoon zo'n tab. Team 3 is nou gemaakt. Dan kunnen wij nou een meeting starten.
Oké.
Yo.
Doei.
Veel plezier iedereen.
Wat?
Ciao.
Ik bel je
team
wel in, Nick.
Wat?
Ik bel je wel in. Maak je geen zorgen.
And I'm so lost.
Me too. I don't know.
Oh, I guess we have to go into the breakout rooms, right?
I don't think for now.
Tusa's here. Tusa's still here.
Yeah, Nick is here also.
And Nick joined.
Yeah.
Wait,
Man,
do we have to go to other teams?
I don't know where to go.
Wait.
I'm so lost.
I put a button in the top right next to like leave the call that allows me to join one of the rooms or just a room I'm assigned to. But I think I'm assigned to the wrong room still. But I'm getting called in now. So if you've got teammates in, they can call you in.
Oh, they're calling. Yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
I will try, man.
Yeah. Okay. Which team are we?
Man, I have no idea. We're not team. I've just taken a look at team 1. We're not team 1. Nobody is in team 2.
I got called, but I don't know from where. Who called me?
Team 3.
Team 5. There's no team 5.
We're not 3. We are not team 4.
Nor 5.
No 5. Team 6. Nobody's in team 6.
This dude's a team 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wait, Tusa's in team 2 now.
Shit.
So we just joined team 2?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, so that was a sprint through each one of the teams that allowed me to get some sense of where you all are right now. And by and large, from what I've seen, most teams are making the good progress that I would expect. But for several of the teams that I saw that still need some work to be done, allow me to encourage you again to set up a half an hour meeting with me next week where we can look over either A, your presentation visuals, and or B, your Excel document in detail. And that way, after you've made the sufficient progress, I can answer any specific remaining questions that you have. Otherwise, I enjoy working with you all, the Dutch students at Fontys, because you have a really neat combination, in my opinion, of a sense of responsibility over your work where you take it seriously. A lot of my American students are just fat and lazy, and that's just the way it is. But you guys take it very seriously, and I appreciate that. Secondarily, you guys don't mind imagination, but that's kind of where you struggle a little bit, right? The Dutch are very forward. You're slightly more detail oriented, and when you get to an obstacle, you really are looking to dive down into an answer. Where I'll remind you that you have 20 minutes to present only. Taking some poetic license liberties, making things up isn't the worst thing in the world, because we're not going to really have time to find holes in your analysis. So feel free, if you're not 100% sure, to just sell it to me like it is the truth. And chances are you'll be just fine there. So that will be the end of today's session then. I look forward to seeing you as groups next week. And at the very least, let me just confirm before we log off, because I'm not sure every team has sent us invites yet. Let me see what my schedule. So team 1 is scheduled. Team 4 that you're scheduled, I think you scheduled it for 15 minutes too long though. It should end at the 30. There's team 5. So I've got team 1, 4, 5. Here's 3. I don't know what team that is, but either 6 and or 2. We need to make sure that you've got your invitation scheduled so that we can go ahead and see your pitches next week. So if there's nothing else for the good of the order, I will wish you all a happy Friday. It is a holiday weekend here in the United States. We get our Monday off, and you're welcome to reach out to me, but be patient if I don't respond right away, because even I get to take some time off here and there. So thank y'all. Peace.
Have a nice
Have a nice
day.
weekend.
Bye.
Thank
Nice
you.
weekend.
Bye.
Have a nice weekend.
Bye, sir.